Jesus, 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 there's just something about that name. Master, Savior, Jesus, like the fragrance after the rain. Jesus, 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 let all heaven and earth proclaim. Kings and kingdoms will all pass away, but there's something about that name. Jesus, 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 let all heaven and earth proclaim. Kings and kingdoms will all pass away, but there's something about that name.
Good morning. Welcome to Portage United Church of Christ. No matter who you are, no matter where you are in your life's journey, you are welcome here, and we are delighted to welcome you in our ministry and in mission, and grateful for all the gifts you bring just by your presence here. So welcome to all of you. I have a few announcements before we get going into our time of worship. The first is our annual meeting is coming up, and that is happening 2 weeks from today, following worship, on Sunday, the 26th. Were you going to say more about this, or okay, fine. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't overlapping you. All right, so that is happening on January 26th, following worship, and I think that's kind of all I need to say. We will be approving the budget, right? And we already did all our nominations, but I think we have a few more nominations to vote on. We'll have ministry reports and pastor reports going out. All right, so yeah, mark that on your calendars. I know a lot of people think it's dry and ho-hum, but it is a great time to be grateful for ministries that we nurtured and experienced in the last year, and what's unfolding. It's also a great time to look ahead, even more than looking back. It's a great time to look ahead, so I encourage you to come. All members are able to vote in the meeting. Everybody who is present here has voice and can make comments or ask questions or anything along that line. The great William Shakespeare, I think it was in the play I had to read my senior year of high school, Julius Caesar, wrote in that play, "Beware the Ides of March." So that is an invitation to all of us this year to beware the Ides of March, because on March 15th of this year, Kevin Koos is going to retire from running the soundboard. Oh dear. You know what? I'm gonna stop you right there, because it isn't an oh dear moment unless all y'all think, well, I don't have time to do that. What we are looking for is a rotation of 4 to 5 people so that you can take one Sunday a month. We are already working with Gordon, the sound person, to put together a manual. We're going to plan a training event, and anybody who likes to push buttons can more than likely manage this. And if you are wondering, there are a lot of you out there who are very good at pushing buttons. So I invite you to prayerfully consider, have a conversation with Kevin, the other 2 people who've been helping out, Sarah Ferguson and Rosie Aprisma, are not here today, but they've been helping out as well, so you can talk to them about just how tricky this is not. But anyway, I invite you to prayerfully consider the opportunity to be present, unlike we have made Kevin do week after week after week, just to rotate through one Sunday a month. Another exciting event that is coming up prior to March 15th is a great event that's going to be happening here at PUCC on January 25th. I wanted to let you all know about this because whether you are part of the leadership board or on a ministry team, I want you to know what those of us who are on the leadership team and part of a ministry board are going to be up to. We are going to be gathering on Saturday the 25th from 10 to 2 with one of our associate conference ministers for Church Vitality, the Reverend Lawrence Richardson. And we are going to be gathering for collaboration, for conversation, and of course, for food and fellowship, and a chance to reconsider, possibly reimagine, but more than anything, look into the future with our ministries. There's going to be a lot of shifts going on in terms of not just what's going to happen in our government, but also I think there's a lot of cultural shifts going on. And it's a time for us to look to the future with our ministries and where will they be, not just 5 years from now, but a generation or 2 from now. And so this is really exciting. So if you are on a ministry team, I hope to see you there. If you are not on a ministry team, listen with bated breath, because I think there's going to be lots to come out of this and grow out of this great opportunity that we are going to be taking part in a couple of weeks. Those are the announcements for today. I want to invite us all now to enter into our time of silence. I know it's always kind of hard to know what to do. Our minds are busy. I have spent probably 15 years of my life learning how to sit silent for 15, 20 minutes, and I'm not always very successful at it. So I want to invite you during this time, if you're sitting here thinking, okay, stop thinking about that, be quiet. Oh, why am I thinking about that? I want to invite you into an ancient prayer practice called a breath prayer. And it's a time where we pay attention to our breathing and we find prayer words to say as we breathe in and as we breathe out. For during these 2 minutes, I invite you, if this works for you, to breathe in and say these words. I breathe in God's love. I breathe out God's peace. I breathe in God's love. I breathe out God's peace. Let those be your words with your breath during these 2 minutes of prayerful silence. Our theme today in our Wholeness and Wellness series is curiosity and wonder. How do you cultivate curiosity in your life? How do you make room for it? How do you invite it? What can still captivate you in wonder? And how do these types of things help to lift up our hearts and our spirits? Can you imagine God as curious? How might that shift the idea or the nature of God for you if we imagine God as curious or curiosity? If you were going to use an altar or other kind of visual stimulus in your home or in your car to remind you to be curious and to help unstick you when you get stuck in a difficult or a negative place, what might you use to help you get unstuck? Having a sense of wonder and a penchant for curiosity helps us to bolster good mental health.
Let us be joined in our call to worship. A generation goes and a generation comes. But the earth remains forever. The sun rises and the sun goes down. The sun is faithful to return in the morning. The wind blows to the south and goes around to the north. The wind is faithful to make its circuits around the earth. All streams run into the sea, yet the sea is not full. The streams are faithful to continue to flow. Sometimes it feels like everything is pointless. Sometimes we understand the rhythm of life. We come together to search for meaning. We come together as people of faith.
Let us rise as we are in body or in heart and sing together.
All
For our opening prayer, we are using words written by Howard Thurman. And it's from a poem called Lord, Lord, Open Unto Me. And if you'll remember last week, we sang this chorus together. Open unto me. Light for my darkness, open unto me. Courage for my fear, open unto me. Hope for my despair, open unto me. Peace for my turmoil, open unto me. Joy for my sorrow, open unto me. Strength for my weakness, open unto me. Wisdom for my confusion, open unto me. Forgiveness for my sins, open unto me. Tenderness for my toughness, open unto me. Love for my hate, open unto me. Thyself for myself, Lord, Lord, open unto me. Our gospel lesson is from Matthew. I'm reading from chapter 18, verses 1 through 5. At that time, the disciples came to Jesus and asked, "Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven?" He called a child, whom he put among them, and said, "Truly I tell you, unless you change and become like children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Whoever becomes humble like this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Whoever welcomes one such child in my name welcomes me."
This week, our contemporary witness is this short excerpt from a Life magazine article featuring Albert Einstein. He said this in 1955. "One is always seeing things without being sure that one does see them. Truth is a verbal concept which cannot be submitted to mathematical proof. Do not stop to think about the reasons for what you are doing, about why you are questioning. The important thing is to not stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existence. One cannot help but be in awe when one contemplates the mysteries of eternity, of life, of the marvelous structure of reality. It is enough if one tries merely to comprehend a little of this mystery each day. Never lose holy curiosity. Try not to become a person of success, but rather try to become a person of value. One is considered successful in our day who gets more out of life than one puts in it, but a person of value will give more than they receive." Albert Einstein, who'd have thought? Going back to our gospel lesson, the disciples of Jesus asked him, "Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven?" When a story tells us that Jesus is talking to the disciples, it takes context to figure out which ones. Was he talking to a large crowd of disciples, as in Luke 6, where it says one day Jesus called his disciples and chose 12 of them, whom he also named apostles? Was it just a few of them, like in Matthew 17, where in the story of the Transfiguration, Peter, James, and John are all referred to as the disciples, but the others aren't around? Here in this story, the disciples referred to are the ones that we know of as the 12. They are the ones Jesus was hanging around with the most. The ones he gathered to himself to teach so that his message would have a further reach. The disciples, the 12, weren't getting the message. They were still concerned about who the greatest would be. In reading Jesus' answer, it's clear they weren't talking about some kind of theory like Throughout the course of all of our faith journeys and our religions, who among all the prophets were the greatest? No, that's not what they were asking. They're like, so Jesus, among us, who's the greatest? Who's the best? Who do you like more? Who's doing the most wonderfulest? Who's the most powerful? Us. This isn't the only story where this happens. In the Gospel of Luke and the Gospel of Mark, the same story is told. In Luke 9, it says, an argument arose among them as to which of them was the greatest. But Jesus, aware of their inner thoughts, took a little child and put it by his side and said to them, whoever welcomes this child in my name welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me welcomes the one who sent me. For the least among you is the greatest. This subject is brought up again later in Luke in chapter 22. Here Jesus tells them, the greatest among you must become like the youngest, and the leader like one who serves. Each time, Jesus tells them, stop it. Stop trying to be great. Stop worrying about who is the best or the most influential. Each time Jesus points to a child or says something like, become like the youngest. Each time. So why were the disciples so obsessed with greatness? Is this what following God leads to? An obsession with greatness and power? Well, for some it does seem to be, doesn't it? But God being great, God being all-powerful, isn't a mandate for us to be obsessed with our greatness or our power. Jesus came as the incarnation of God to lead us and teach us and help us understand what it means to be made in the image of God. When the disciples wrestle with who they are and how they're progressing in their status with Jesus, he continually reminds them they are to model themselves after children, not the elite leaders of their day. What is it about kids that Jesus is pointing to? How is he redirecting the priorities of the disciples? Instead of greatness and power, Jesus offers them what? Innocence, curiosity, wonder. That's what kids make me think of. They're always learning. They're always eager to learn. What's that? What do you mean? How does that work? Tell me now. I know you're busy. I don't care. Tell me now. I want to know. Yeah, I have grandkids. They don't always maybe want to learn in a structured way. But their sense of wonder and curiosity leads them to figure out things like the nuances of language, how things work, and anything else that they find interesting. It's easy for us to lose our curiosity and wonder. It takes energy to look at the world wide-eyed and be hungry to immerse ourselves in it. It also takes energy to not assume a position of status in the world, whether you think your status is high or low. It takes energy to push against that. And it takes an open heart, an open spirit, to stay curious and be filled with wonder. As soon as we're sure of something, we stop learning. We can keep doing the thing we're doing. We can probably do it very, very well. But when we believe we've peaked in our knowledge or experience, we stop growing and we stop perceiving. We stop being open. This month, we're focusing on beginning the year with wholeness and wellness. Last week, I mentioned Jesus' desire that his ministry would offer us life that is abundant. What is more abundant than being open, being curious, being filled with wonder? It's true that each of us is really good at something. I think it'd be wonderful if we all could name the stuff that we're like, I'm good at this, and I enjoy this, and I become proficient at this, and we could see what our talents and our gifts are in the room. That would be a lot of fun. it's possible that we have skills where there's really not too much more to learn, at least not in a specific area. That, my friends, is where we get stuck. It's good to know things, it's good to be proficient, but it's not good to get stuck in our expertise or in our sense of status. This is when we start to have to protect our position. It's when we have to assert our dominance, because there's always someone who wants to be the expert or be the one who claims to be the greatest. In our Jesus telling today, this is what he's cautioning his disciples against. He's teaching his disciples to cultivate a spiritual practice of being more like children, filled with curiosity, filled with wonder. To be honest, this has been my principal spiritual practice for the last many years. It's one of the reasons I resonate deeply with what Einstein said, especially this quote, "One cannot help but be in awe when one contemplates the mysteries of eternity, of life, of the marvelous structure of reality. It is enough if one tries merely to comprehend a little of this mystery each day. Never lose a holy curiosity." It used to be that my main spiritual practice was reading the Bible and prayer. I wanted to be accomplished in both. I wanted to know the Bible backward and forward, and I wanted to be able to pray properly at a moment's notice. Eventually, I was able to quote the Bible chapter and verse to a large degree. And I felt confident to pray with others, sometimes, honestly, imposing it upon them when they didn't want it. What they really needed was someone to sit and listen, someone to simply care. But there I was, putting hands on them, and I just being so strong. It ended up being all about me. My expertise in the Bible and prayer didn't accomplish what I thought it would. Instead, I ended up feeling pretty great about myself and judged others for not being able to keep up. Luckily, I was confronted with the limitation of my own greatness. Somehow it sunk in that everything that I knew about God and faith was everything I thought there was to know. I did it. I accomplished it. But then it sunk in that possibly, maybe, I was wrong about some of it. That was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because I had lost the mystery of God and the mystery of life. But the mystery cannot and will not be contained. So every time I tried to shut the lid on the box that I'd made for it to keep it nice and tidy, the lid would bounce off, or the sides would burst out, or something would come spilling. And at first, you just blamed some kind of condition for this. Well, they bumped into me, or gravity was really heavy that day, or who knows what, without looking at yourself. And eventually I realized that it was me. It was my desire to be perfect, to be great, to be accomplished in all knowing about God. That was the problem. God, faith, life cannot, will not be contained by our expertise or by our accomplishments. So now my chief spiritual practice is maintaining an open heart in which I cultivate curiosity and wonder. I have altars around my house with reminders of the wonders I've seen in the world and the gifts that loved ones have given me to keep me anchored in love rather than some external accomplishments. It helps to keep me humble because it reminds me that everything I know is just the tip of an iceberg. Jesus tells the disciples who are fighting for place and status that they must be like little children. They have to be eager to grow and learn, no matter how much they know. They must be willing and waiting to serve in their leadership capacities, no matter how high they've climbed in the ranks. They must be confident enough to ask questions. Do you know you have to be confident to ask questions? And above all else, they need to come to God and their faith with a desire to be close and to be loved. We live into our intrinsic wholeness and wellness when we open our hearts and we look around with wonder and curiosity. It connects us to each other. It connects us to all creation, and it connects us to our holy love. And with that, my friends, I offer you peace.
May I suggest to you, may I suggest this is the best part of your life. May I suggest this time is blessed for you, this time is blessed and shining almost blinding bright. Just turn your head and you'll begin to see the thousand reasons that were just beyond your sight. The reasons why I'd suggest to you, why I'd suggest this is the best part of your life. There is a world that's been addressed to you, intended only for your eyes. It's a secret world, like a treasure chest to you, of private scenes and brilliant dreams that mesmerize. A tender lover's smile, a tiny baby's hands, the million stars that fill the turning sky at night. And I suggest, yes, I suggest to you, I suggest this is the best part of your life. There is a hope that's been expressed in you. It's the hope of 7 generations, maybe more. And this is the faith that they invest in you. It's that you'll do one better than was done before. And inside you know, inside you understand, inside you know it's yours to finally set right. And I suggest to you, I suggest this is the best part of your life. This is a song, comes from the west to you, comes from the west, comes from the slowly setting sun. This is a song with a request of you to see how very short these endless days will run. And when they're gone and when the dark descends, oh, we'd give anything for one more hour of life. suggest this is the best part of, the very best part of your life.
Will you please join me now in this time of congregational prayer? The words are printed on your screens. Holy love, we accept your invitation to walk with you and with each other. When we are feeble, help us reach out to your strong arm. When we are in trouble, help us call on your grace without guilt. Increase our faith when our destination seems distant and our hearts are heavy. Remind us that our doubts are evidence of thinking and feeling deeply. Draw us close as a family of faith. Where there is discord, help us mend. Give us ears to hear each other and hearts to love beyond our fears. We long to know your sacred presence more fully each day and share it with each other. We yield to Spirit. Show us how to live more honestly and to see the needs around us so we can make a difference. Our hearts are grateful and sing praises for the beauty, the wonder, and the mystery of love. Amen. Please rise in body or in spirit, and we'll sing together our closing hymn.
My friends, we are approaching the conclusion of our service. First, I will invite you to join me in our common commission. Then I will share a benediction, after which we will enjoy a postlude by the praise ringers. All are welcome to come to a time of fellowship and coffee and cookies after that. But first, our common commission together. Let us now go forth into the world in peace, being of good courage, holding fast to that which is good, rendering to no one evil for evil, strengthening the faint-hearted, supporting the weak, helping the afflicted, honoring all persons, loving and serving our God, and rejoicing in the power of the Holy Spirit. And now, my friends, it is time to go from this moment to whatever it is that you have next. As we move from one thing to another and live from day to day, may we find the words of Jesus imprinted on our souls, seeing God as our holy creator and loving parent who calls us their children. May the Spirit fill us with curiosity and wonder as we seek to ever follow the teachings of our faith, not for prestige and gain, but for life abundant and the betterment of our community and our world. Let us go forth when we do as peace and in peacemakers. You may be seated for the postlude.